Gawaran ng pamahalaan ay nagtulong-tulong nang ika'y mayakap ng bayan. Bawat Pilipino, ikaw man o ako, tulong-tulong tungo sa pagbabago. At magtiwala ka, di lang sa salita, may bagong buhay na sa'yo'y naghihintay. At ang pagbabago'y makikita sa'yo. Para sa susunod na henerasyon, kailangan ngayon rehabinasyon. At giginhawa na ang disposisyon sa ating panahon. Rehabinasyon ay pag-asa ngayon, dahil may rehabinasyon. Rehabinasyon.
Rehabilitating the nation together.
Good afternoon, MPC. Welcome sa second batch ng ating press briefing for this day. To introduce our guest, let us all welcome PCO Assistant Secretary Mon Kulaping.
Good afternoon to our partners and our friends from media and the partners of Rehabinasyon. On behalf of the Presidential Communications Operations Office, this is the first of a series of media conference and dialogue and engagement with our partners for Rehabinasyon. Rehabinasyon, just a quick overview, is all-encompassing communications program of the government to integrate the program against illegal drugs of the Duterte administration. This is a priority project under the Interagency Committee on Anti-Illegal Drugs, which is a creation of Executive Order Number 15 of President Duterte signed in March 2017. The PCO is a member of the ICAD, which is chaired by the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency, as well as 40 government agencies. Amongst them are our partners who are on this table today, this afternoon, from the Department of Health, Secretary Duque, from the Dangerous Drugs Board, Secretary Chairman Cui, from the DILG OIC Secretary Anyo, and from DSWD Secretary Orogo. We would just like to emphasize as well, PCO has been doing real numbers together with the enforcement agencies of the government, but to contrast Rehabinasyon, Rehabinasyon is a whole of government approach in terms of not just enforcement, but more so on rehabilitation and reintegration, as well as the mechanisms being employed by various agencies to advocate the vision of the president, which is to have a drug-free Philippines, hopefully by 2022, and to have a comfortable life for all Filipinos. So before I turn over the mic to our guests, to the secretaries, we'd like to show you a quick and short video of what Rehabinasyon has done for the past a year and a half and the things moving forward. Okay. video, please.
A little less than a year ago, Rehabinasyon was launched, the all-encompassing campaign of our government to rehabilitate the nation from illegal drugs, spearheaded by the Interagency Committee on Anti-Illegal Drugs, or ICAD, by virtue of Executive Order Number 15, signed March 2017. Rehabinasyon has been actively working to present the real numbers of drug-related cases in the country, in coming up with real solutions to fight the ill effects of illegal drugs. Real stories to inspire the Filipinos to live a life away from drugs. What is Real Numbers? Real Numbers is the consistent provision of information to the public from the most reputable sources to combat fake news and alternative truths. Real Numbers has been constantly conducting press conferences and press briefings, releasing simplified information through social cards, and just recently, an anniversary event that will help spread the truth, the real numbers related to drugs, to a larger audience. What is Real Solutions? Real Solutions is composed of the various programs led by the ICAD member agencies that aim to not only eliminate drug abuse in the country, but also to prevent the spread of illegal drug supplies and to rehabilitate and reintegrate drug dependents as productive members of our society. The Dangerous Drugs Board of the Philippines is the policy-making and strategy formulating body on drug prevention and control in our country, whose vision is make the Philippines a drug-cleared nation by the year 2022. But how can we do this? First is by reducing the drug supply in the country through intensified barangay drug clearing operations, strengthened policies against drug smuggling, and an empowered justice system. Demand-supply reduction is another strategy to eliminate our country's drug problems that ensures access to appropriate and responsive community-based interventions and aftercare programs. These solutions are segregated into 4 clusters of the ICAD, which are the Enforcement Cluster, the Justice Cluster, Rehabilitation and Reintegration Cluster, the Advocacy Cluster. The Department of Justice, as head of the Justice Cluster, has been proactive in expediting fair and proper trial of drug-related cases. The Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency, the head of the Enforcement Cluster, is responsible in conducting drug clearing operations in about 26,659 drug-affected barangays and assisting 4 million drug users and drug offenders in leading more productive lives through Balay Silangan. The Advocacy Cluster, which is headed by the Department of the Interior and Local Government, is accountable in engaging the Filipino people to become our partners for change in our fight against illegal drugs. A consolidated information dissemination happens through Rehabinasyon roadshows and town hall meetings. Some of the cities we have reached so far are Iloilo, Tacloban, Quezon City, Dumaguete, Davao, Bacolod, Zamboanga, General Santos, and Cebu. The Rehabilitation and Reintegration Cluster is headed by both the Department of Health and the Department of Social Welfare and Development. These agencies work hand in hand in building and operating treatment and rehabilitation centers for drug abusers and dependents. What is Real Stories? Real horror and success stories of those who have fallen prey to the ill effects of illegal drugs. These are turned into real stories of inspiration for recovered drug dependents and for the rest of the Filipinos to live away from drugs. Celebrities who have been through drug addiction have given testimonials to share their journeys to recovery. Moving up ceremonies of the different treatment and rehabilitation centers were covered to give recognition to drug reformists and hope to those who have yet to undergo rehabilitation. Curated materials such as web series, were produced in order to inform and give a deeper understanding to people of the possible consequences to every member of our society. Apart from these, more plans are expected to be executed in the coming months for preventive education, enforcement of laws and regulations, and rehabilitation and reintegration to provide the aspiration of our President, Rodrigo Roa Duterte, a comfortable life for all Filipinos.
Okay. So now we go to the opening statements of our esteemed secretaries. We begin first with the chairman of the Dangerous Drugs Board, Secretary Catalino Cuy.
Thank you very much, Mon. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to all of you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to provide you information on the national campaign against illegal drugs. The Dangerous Drugs Board continues to formulate policies and programs that will respond to the current drug abuse situation. To address the issues and challenges confronting the anti-drug campaign, the Philippine Anti-Drug Strategy, known as PADS, has been developed to set forth a comprehensive and balanced approach to drug demand and supply reduction. This stands as our framework of action. The Philippine Anti-Illegal Drug Strategy is a cohesive, comprehensive, and balanced strategy aligned with international and regional frameworks to be undertaken by the government in addressing the country's drug abuse problem. It is aligned with President Duterte's priorities and is anchored on the Philippine Development Plan 2017 to 2022, sub-goal of ensuring security, public order, and safety, which indicates that the national anti-illegal drug strategy includes suppressing the flow of illegal drug supply through sustained law enforcement operations and reducing consumer demand for drugs and other substances through drug rehabilitation and massive preventive education and awareness programs. By 2022, the Philippines will be able to achieve drug-free communities through supply reduction efforts involving strong law enforcement with consistent adherence to and observance of human rights, coupled with comprehensive demand reduction initiatives and supported by strong international ties. This strategy provides an extensive framework for law enforcement and penalties for violations, while at the same time adopts a compassionate approach to victims of drug use by encouraging voluntary treatment and rehabilitation under an overarching framework which emphasizes respect for human rights. To effectively carry out this task, the Dangerous Drugs Board has identified priority areas to work on in reducing the supply and demand for drugs. Cross-cutting concerns have also been identified and prioritized. On supply reduction, we are prioritizing efforts to sustain cooperation with regional and international counterparts, intensify interdiction and barangay drug clearing operations, strengthen the criminal justice system, and policies against drug smuggling. These efforts are expected to result in legislations, policies, and programs that are informed by evidence and best practices of partners. Local government units and communities becoming more vigilant in reporting drug offenses, increase in prosecution and conviction of drug offenders, and improvement in seizures in seaports and airports. On demand reduction, we want to ensure that communities have access to appropriate and responsive community-based interventions and aftercare programs, strengthen capacity of policymakers and preventive education practitioners, and provide access to various drug prevention services and programs in workplace and institutions of learning. In order to establish a coordinated and integrated mechanism in implementing the Philippine Anti-Illegal Drug Strategy, President Rodrigo Duterte signed Executive Order No. 15 on March 6, 2017, which created the Interagency Committee, or ICAD, chaired by the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency. This body was tasked to ensure an integrated and unified planning, implementation, and enforcement of all anti-drug abuse policies, programs, and projects, in all branches of the government. The ICAD operates using the Barangay Drug Clearing Program as the main strategy framework. Thus, the various roles of the ICAD members come into play in the context of different Barangay Drug Clearing Program phases. In general, the ICAD acts as a manager to ensure that the government's anti-drug program is successfully implemented on the ground. The PADS framework is represented by a bow and arrow. This defines the two components of the anti-drug strategy, the drug supply reduction and the drug demand reduction, aim at a target board representing the goal of 100% drug-free Philippines by 2022. The Philippine anti-illegal drug strategy is a testament to our commitment to implement a holistic and balanced approach in addressing the country's problems on illegal drugs. Strategies are aimed at consensus building, wherein people recognize the drug problem and are encouraged to be part of the solution. Strengthening the rule of law, promoting sustainable alternative development programs, and ensuring regulatory compliance are also part of the strategy, along with instituting responsive advocacy programs that are then shared to regional and international counterparts. On top of finalizing the Philippine anti-illegal drug strategy, the Dangerous Drugs Board has also strengthened the conduct of anti-drug campaign in a community level. Allow me to give some updates on the relevant policies issued by the Board. Board Regulation Number 4, Series 2016, provides guidelines on voluntary surrender of drug users and dependents and monitoring mechanism of barangay anti-drug abuse campaigns. This mandated the local government units to ensure that drug users will be provided with appropriate interventions through establishment of community-based treatment and rehabilitation program and services. Second is the Board Resolution Number 3, Series of 2017, or strengthening the implementation of barangay drug clearing programs, mandated the local government official to take the lead in freeing their communities from the influence of drugs through the conduct of both supply and demand reduction programs. In addition to policies addressed to strengthen the conduct of barangay drug clearing operations, the DDB also looks forward to strengthen the drug-free workplace program. Among the salient provisions are the random drug testing requirements, the person accountable to administer the drug testing procedures, the duty bearers who will implement the drug-free workplace policy at the local government unit level, the required due process for those found positive for drug testing, and the disciplining authority on cases related to illegal drugs violations. If you will notice, our recent policies involve the participation of the local government, as the DDB believes that the most effective programs are the ones that emanate from the community, carried out by the community for the community. With this, we continue to place communities at the center of all our anti-drug efforts. As the drug issue continues to strengthen the stability of Philippine economy and security, we hereby call to action all Filipino families, youth groups, institutions, mass media, business communities, faith-based organizations, education and health sectors, legislators, and civil society to be proactive in participating to drug prevention and control programs and initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Cui. Now we go to Health Secretary Duque.
Thank you very much, Asek Mon of the PCOO, the Honorable Chairperson of the Dangerous Drugs Board, the Undersecretary, the Secretary Ed Año of DILG, and also Secretary of DSWD, G. Orogo, and to all our media representatives. A pleasant afternoon to each one of you in behalf of the Department of Health. I'm certainly privileged to present to you the updates and programs of the DOH on the government's balanced approach towards addressing the scourge of illegal drugs and its ill effects upon our society. through our Formula One Plus for Health approach. On the screen are the yearly data from 2016 on the number of admissions of our drug abuse treatment and rehabilitation centers for inpatient and aftercare, as well as those who successfully completed the rehabilitation programs. As of December 31, 2017, there is a total of 53 licensed and accredited drug abuse treatment and rehabilitation centers in the Philippines. These include residential and outpatient facilities, where 15 of those are government-owned with an implementing bed capacity of 6,000. And as a measure to address the increasing number of clients, DOH has 11 ongoing DATRC constructions with an estimated total bed capacity of 6,000, most of which will be completed by the last quarter of 2019. And this will hopefully help address the lack of rehabilitation centers in our regions. There are 15 DOH TRCs, and almost all regions have at least one DATRC, except for CAR, Region 4B, Regions 9, 11, 12, and ARM. And only the Mega DATRC in Nueva Ecija has a huge bed capacity of roughly 2,500, and all others have an average of 100 beds. This shows that our facilities can only currently cater to a small number of clients. Next. Aside from our DATRCs, we have recovery facilities, which are either a clinic or home. And a recovery clinic is a community-based outpatient treatment facility that will treat drug use patients who voluntarily enroll in the program for specialized consultations and evaluations. On the other hand, recovery homes are community-based residential facilities for persons suffering from mild to moderate drug dependence who cannot consistently cope in their habitual environment, and or patients who cannot be fully managed in an outpatient setting and will enroll voluntarily in the program. Both recovery clinics and homes are currently on their pilot phase of implementation. And to note, constructions of these facilities are in coordination, agreement, and initiative with respective local government units. Currently, there are 6 pilot recovery clinics and 3 pilot recovery homes in the country, and hopefully with the support of the LGUs, more of these facilities will be established. This and the next slide would show the algorithm on the client flow of wellness and recovery from substance-related issues. This was created to guide all stakeholders in the implementation of the drug rehabilitation program of the government. It begins from community preparation up to aftercare, where clients are prepared to be reintegrated to the society. On the part of the DOH, we have provided capacity building activities and policy initiatives in every step of the said algorithm. Majority steps include community preparation, screening, assessment, then drug abuse treatment seminar workshop for clients and the family. Different treatment interventions are employed within the client flow. Each of them would entail tailored fit interventions for the client, and depending on their severity of dependence, they will either undergo general interventions, community-based treatment and rehabilitation, health facility-based outpatient treatment and rehabilitation, or patient treatment and rehabilitation. After receiving a proper treatment, they will undergo aftercare and community reintegration programs to prepare clients to be reintegrated to the society. The first way a client can get help from the government is through the hotline of the Dangerous Drugs Abuse Prevention and Treatment Program of the DOH by dialing the 711-0781. Dedicated personnel of the program would gladly assist and refer to the client on how to properly access these services, one of which is the admission to a DATRC. First, the client should file for voluntary admission to the Dangerous Drugs Board, and then they will refer client to the court. And then the court would then order the client to undergo screening and assessment by a DOH accredited physician. Consequently, the client would undergo routine medical and laboratory examinations. Once results are available, the DOH accredited physician recommends appropriate treatment to the court, and then the court then orders the client to a DATRC. Generally, the cost of admitting the cost of being admitted to a government-operated DATRC is approximately 8,000 to about 10,000 pesos, depending on the client's classification as determined by the social welfare officer. More importantly, admission is free for indigents. Another way of getting help is through our helpline, which is a project initiated and coordinated by the Office of the President, special projects to cater to actual situations at the ground level on the need to provide immediate services to Filipinos. It offers free and confidential advice, information, and support and referral for individuals and family members facing substance abuse disorders, as well as for the communities and general public using a variety of technology-based platforms. And of course, services would include call and inform, basic screening, and refer. And lastly, here is the helpline 155. Kaya atin talikuran ng droga dahil sa iyong pagbabago, may handang tumulong sa iyo. Muli, isang magandang hapon sa inyong lahat sa ngalan ng buong Department of Health.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
In line with the present administration's vigorous campaign against the proliferation of illegal drugs use and the extension of assistance for the identified drug users, rehabilitation, and reintegration to the society, the department has strengthened the creation and organization of Anti-Drug Abuse Councils, or ADACs, in every province, city, municipality, and barangays to ensure the active participation of all local government units in the said campaign. I am pleased to present the following updates from the DILG. On the accomplishment of ADACs after the passage of the DDB and DILG Joint Memorandum Circular 2018-01, which provides a comprehensive guidance on the functionality of the Anti-Drug Abuse Council and Barangay Anti-Drug Abuse Council, or BADAC. The pertinent parts of the GMC are as follows: compelling the provinces, cities, and municipalities to provide financial and technical support to the BADACs. Issued functionality indicators to determine the degree of functionality of all ADACs at all levels. Prescribe the roles and functions of each stakeholder to increase their respective accountability and bolster the interoperability of all levels of ADACs. As of the first quarter this year, 15 remaining barangays from the National Capital Region and Bicol Region have not yet organized their BADACs. As a result, the DILG filed administrative cases for dereliction of duty and misconduct of office before the Office of the Ombudsman against the erring punong barangays. As of 25 June 2018, 42,029 out of 42,044 barangays, or 99.96%, have organized their BADACs. On the interventions of the government in strengthening anti-drug abuse councils, from May 2018 to July 2018, we have completed 5 trainings for regional focal persons of the DILG to discuss the mode of assessing the functionality and effectiveness of local ADACs and BADACs, together with several member agencies of the ICAD Advocacy Cluster. The first leg of training was held at Bantay, Ilocos Sur last May 28 to June 1, 2018, covering regions 1, 2, 3, and Cordillera. The second one was held at Naga, Camarines Sur, this time with participants coming from Region 4A, Mimaropa, Region 5, and NCR last June 4 to 8, 2018. On June 25 to 29, 2018, the training was held at Davao City with attendees from regions 11, 12, and 13. The fourth and final leg of the training were held at Cebu and Cagayan de Oro with DILG focal persons from regions 6, 7, and 8, and 9, 10, and ARMM respectively. On the sanctions stipulated in the law of non-performing ADACs, the DILG upholds sanctions stipulated in the law for non-performing ADACs. On addressing the welfare of voluntary surrenderies and actions being taken after they have surrendered to proper authorities, cognizant of the foreseen need to cater the increased number of voluntary drug surrenderers in each barangay, the JMC has included as one of its indicators of a functional BADAC the presence of a CSAR plan, or Community Support and Aftercare Rehabilitation Plan, and the establishment of community-based rehabilitation program. On the efforts of the government to support the sustainability of strengthening anti-drug abuse councils, currently, the department is conducting a nationwide rollout training to disseminate the provisions of Joint Memo Circular 2018-01 and orient local government units on the functionality and performance indicators of local ADACs. The department, through the ADAC Project Management Office, in coordination with PIDEA, will also be conducting a reorientation of the Regional Oversight Committee for an expedient and clearer drug clearing process on August 16 to 17, 2018, which will cover all stakeholders from Luzon, and on August 23 to 24, 2018, for the stakeholders in Visayas and Mindanao. Rest assured that the ILG is committed to the whole of government approach as we move towards President Duterte's vision of a comfortable life for all Filipinos. Maraming salamat.
Thank you for the opportunity to call us together so that we can inform the government's effort in addressing the country's gamut of problem related to illegal drugs. In support of the Duterte's administration's fight against the destructive effects of illegal drugs and substance, the Department of Social Welfare and Development, as member of the Interagency Committee on Anti-Illegal Drugs, is initiating efforts to help former drug dependents, including street children involved in substance abuse, to renew their lives and be productive members of the society. We have two approaches. One is a silungan sa barangay. This is a preventive approach specifically to save or prevent our street children from becoming user or pushers. We at the DSWD recognize the plight of our street children and families, with some of them reportedly using substances like rugby to get through its day. To help them, we have been working closely with different national government agencies, non-government organizations, and local government units for the implementation of our Silungan sa Barangay project. Silungan sa Barangay is a temporary home, learning center, vocational school, and livelihood center for children and families at risk on the streets. Further, it is a meeting place of children where they can share and exchange their stories, a place where they feel safe, and where they can meet other people for socialization, skills development. It is also a venue to prepare children and families for long-term housing solutions, community reintegration, and alternative parental care. A team headed by a social worker and composed of barangay staff, volunteers, and other stakeholders shall also provide time-bound case management to the children and their families. The Silungan will serve as a venue to converge with partners for existing holistic services for the street children and their families. Through the convergence of all duty bearers and stakeholders, we will provide temporary shelter and extend services on health and nutrition, education and values formation, and other developmental activities. We also provide psychosocial support, case management, and skills development trainings, and various livelihood services. Currently, the DSWD, together with other duty bearers, is reviewing and polishing the framework of this initiative to be more responsive to the needs of street children and those involved in substance abuse. Another approach, and Silungan sa Barangay is part of this, is Yakap Bayan Framework, a holistic reintegration approach to development for drug surrenderies and his family and community. For drug surrenderies, the DSWD is also reviewing and enhancing the framework of Yakap Bayan, an interagency collaborative framework designed to provide rehabilitation, aftercare, transformation, and reintegration support for recovering drug dependence. Yakap Bayan is a holistic integration approach towards total development of drug surrenderies. It emphasizes the provision of continuous case management for surrenderies and their families and communities. The framework includes a rehabilitative process that starts with the provision of psychosocial and medical interventions such as debriefing, counseling, and other health-related assistance, comprehensive needs assessment of drug surrenderies, and productivity optimization, which involves the provision of livelihood and skills training, education, and entrepreneurship. The rehabilitative process also includes the provision of gainful employment and other income-generating opportunities to former drug dependents and integrating them back to their communities. On the family and community side, the framework includes support systems, identification for drug surrenderies, the strengthening of linkages with the church and other networks, ensuring the availability of social safety nets, and empowerment and capacity building, which all leads to community participation. Yakap Bayan aims to capacitate drug surrenderies to be productive leaders and members of their communities, thereby facilitating their early mainstreaming in the society. We at the DSWD work doubly hard to extend programs and services to our drug surrenderies and street children who need their kalinga and pagmamahal. We also continue to reach out to other vulnerable sectors of our society in order to provide them with appropriate assistance and intervention. Alone, we can only do so much, but together as one family, we can do everything. I appeal that during the community integration of our dear brothers and sisters who are facing new life and entry back to the mainstream society, that we support the victim himself and the family of the victims. Let them feel their belongingness. The SWD will always be there to give them kalinga at pagmamahal. Marami pong salamat.
Thank you. Thank you, Secretaries. MPC questions? Question, MPC. Joseph. Mike, please. Joseph.
My question is addressed to Secretary Cui or Secretary Anyo. Yesterday, the President said that Naga was a hotbed of Shabu. Do we have any data to support that claim, sir?
Can you repeat?
Naga was a hotbed of Shabu daw. The President mentioned in his speech yesterday that Naga was a hotbed of Shabu. Data.
Yes, the President mentioned that because still there are persistent reports of drug trafficking and drug operation in Naga, along with Cebu. So that means to say that we are actually directing our effort and focus to conduct anti-drug operations in Region 5. And this shall be of course, through the enforcement cluster, wherein we have this task force to conduct this operation. And, well, we are conducting the operations nationwide, but with the development, of course, we have to focus more resources in the area.
So in tangible terms, paano po yung description ni Presidente na hotbed of Shabu? Ano po yung situation on the ground, especially in Naga City, which he mentioned yesterday?
Well,
And in comparing it to other cities, you mentioned Cebu. Any other place, maybe top 5 problematic cities that we have?
well, ito yung tinatawag nating una, yung persistence of reports. And then secondly, kina-classify natin yan because the effort that we should apply in this region should be more than what we are applying in other regions. Base talaga yan sa mga reports na dumating. I can only speak for the Philippine National Police, and I can see in the daily reports that there are indeed a lot of activities there involved in drugs.
Sir, sorry to push the subject further. No, when you said persistence of reports, what kind of reports are these, sir?
Well, ito yung mga reports ng kasama yung drug affectation ng barangay at saka yung mga daily raw reports na nanggagaling sa ating iba't ibang police units in the region. Nagtatali kasi everyday kasi meron kaming tinatawag na situation monitoring report from the operation center. So ito kinukulit ito ng ating PDEG, and from there sinasabi naman natin sa enforcement cluster, especially PIDEA. And then from there, the PIDEA submit its reports to the President.
Would the DDB have any data on Naga?
Yung information na yan per PDEA for validation, yung info na yan. And another possible indications for that information is yung percentage ng barangay affectation in certain areas. So these are the ones being considered. This is also true to other areas. There is a parang reported noticeable resurgence of drugs in some areas na formerly cleared na but then nagbabalik. So this is the tendency of this particular problem. Pag medyo nagkaroon ng slack in operations, there's a tendency for this problem to make a resurgence. So that's why continuous vigilance on the part of the law enforcement as well as the public is very necessary.
We have, sir, the data on the barangay affectation with regard to just Naga City, because that's what the President mentioned.
We don't have right now.
Okay, sir, thank you.
Thank you, Joseph. Okay. After Ina, Henry. Okay, Ina, please.
Secretary Kuy, but you mentioned that the information is still up for validation sa PIDEA regarding Naga. So why would the President outright say that it is a hotbed?
Hindi, yung mga ganong mga information for validation, yung continuous validation, and if may makitang probability, then that will be for case build-up.
And right now, it's not validated. Is that right?
Remember that the President has his own sources, and these sources isinishare niya dito sa mga law enforcement group. Yung sinabi niyang statement, there are basis for that. So yung the validation will continue, no? With that information plus what is sa mga holdings namin. So i-continue yung validation niya. Now, isa ring factor dyan, remember, naglabas tayo ng drug affectation last year. So tinitingnan din natin kung gaano kabilis yung clearing sa iba't ibang areas. Like for example, in Zamboanga City, no, before talaga ang laki ng kanyang drug affectation doon. Pero immediately ang bilis din ng kanilang pag-clear. So yung ibang areas na naging stagnant at hindi nag-move at nadagdagan pa. So yun yung isa sa mga basis na sinasabi natin.
This is for both Secretary Kuy and USEC or OIC Anyo. I'd just like to get your thoughts on the President's pronouncements also yesterday, expressing frustration that despite all his efforts to combat illegal drugs, the problem seems to be getting worse. He talked about transactions ballooning from millions of pesos to billions of pesos. So, what can you say about that?
Drugs ba yan o corruption?
Drugs din.
Drugs.
Magkasama eh, sabay.
Well, sa drugs talaga, no. Even before this administration, napakalaki ng problema ng country natin sa drugs. Nakita lang natin ito nung nagsimula na ng relentless effort at nagkaroon ng, remember, 1.2 million surrenderies. So, lahat tayo nagising eh. Siguro kayo, you will admit na ganyan ba kalaki. Now, you cannot do this overnight and, finish this problem and even siguro 1 year or 2 years. Kaya nga sabi natin na baka hanggang 2022 ay matapos natin to. And it entails support of everybody. Hindi ito lumaki. Na-discover lang natin na ganito pala ito kalaki. And with the what we call the real numbers that we have presented to you, nakita mo natin yung mga accomplishments natin, no? At nasusustain natin. So we cannot say tapos na to, but still more job to do, more work to do.
To continue, no, tama yung nabanggit ni SILG. Everybody is was surprised dun sa figure na lumabas, 1.3 or 1.3 na yata halos 1.3 million. So the government agencies, line agencies involved were overwhelmed with the numbers. Hindi naman natin pwedeng hulihin yan, wala tayong paglalagay niyan. Even then, overcrowded na, congested na yung ating mga jails. And the rehabilitation centers, both government and government accredited, were not enough. About 6,000 lang yung bed capacity. So dito nga nag-came up yung yung idea ng community-based rehabilitation program. Given the situation, the limited resources, and the number of individuals involved, we saw na this is the doable and practical way to approach itong situation. So, community-based rehabilitation program, giving the local government units the responsibility and a big task to help ma-rehabilitate itong mga individuals na to. And dito ngayon papasok yung mga different agencies. Whole of nation approach natin. Kasi nga if you will, yung based on the interviews and feedback from those who surrendered, ang main reason nila for being engaged in illegal drugs is economics, livelihood. So kaya nga minsan, even if there are offer na mga alternative livelihood, pag kino-compare nila yung proceeds from illegal drugs to their legitimate alternative livelihood, natatemparan sila to engage in drugs. So this is a big challenge for the government, lalo na doon sa mga duty bearers, and this is where the public and all sectors support and cooperations are very much needed.
Last
year.
Ay,
In addition, our congestion now in jail is 600%. Ibig sabihin, sa isang selda na pang isang tao, 6 ang nakakulong. We have about 111,000 PDLs or person deprived of liberty or detainee. 70,000 of those cases are drugs related. So, yung campaign natin talagang ang daming nahuli, nakakulong sila. Now, if you look at the figure now, or the stats, sa drive natin against drugs, ang result is there is a 21% reduction of the crime volume if we compare the period this year and last year. So that is a direct result of our successful campaign against drugs. Hindi pa natin fully, but malaki yung relation niya talaga sa commission ng crime.
last from me, sir. If the president ends up stepping down, as he said he wants to do because he's so frustrated Number one, do you think he's serious about this? And number two, how will his, if ever, stepping down affect your anti-drug campaign?
I'm not in the position to determine whether what he's saying is serious or not, but there is actually a constitutional provision for everything, and I believe our our vigor and energy in fighting drugs come from his leadership, and hindi siguro mangyayari itong lahat to kung sa kanya, hindi dahil sa kanyang sincerity at sa kanyang conviction to fight drugs. But, well, we hope that the President will finish his term because there are so much work to do.
Thank you, Secretary Anyo. Henry Uri, DZRH.
Secretary Anyo, magandang hapon po. Kung ilalagay natin sa figura, sa figure, yung lala ng problema bago kayo naupo, bago pumasok ang Duterte administration, gaano kalala noon at gaano na po nabago ngayon?
Well, tulad nga ng sinabi ko kanina, nagkaroon tayo ng yung decrease ng crime volume ng 21%. And then based on the survey also, people feel safer now than before. So, masabi natin na even we do not base on the figures, malaki yung epekto sa safety ng ating mga tao sa community. They feel safer even going home late, malaking convenience at confidence sa kanila. Before the Duterte administration, hindi kasi ganito masyado yung talagang focus sa anti-drug operation. I was a member of the armed forces before this administration. Kahit nung time na yun, hindi natatap yung armed forces sa operation against drugs. Unlike during the Duterte administration, the armed forces is also part of the enforcement cluster as a support to the PNP and the PDEA. So this time, I think everyone is aware that the whole country is involved in the fight against drugs.
Sa kabila po ng inyong mahigpit na kampanya laban sa droga, tila hindi ho natatakot itong mga sindikatong ito na 2 beses nang nagpasok ng malalaking bulto at halaga ng shabu dito po sa ating bansa. First, it was 6.4 and then the latest is 6.8 billion. Nasaan ho ang pagkukulang? Sinong may problema? Secretary Anyo.
Well, unang-una, yung sa, I don't want to dwell on the 6.4 billion kasi there is an ongoing congressional hearing on that. But on the supply part, alam niyo itong drug trade, it's international. So talagang palaging mayroong nagpo-produce at meron ding demand. So kahit mahuli natin sila, tuloy-tuloy pa din yan because it's a big business. It's like one big giant corporation and they have clients everywhere they have to supply. But malaki na yung dent na nagawa natin. In fact, many of the drug lords are either in jail or are in hiding. And we continue the operation to find and track these big drug lord or drug syndicates. So, ito yung mga success na to. It's not a guarantee that they will stop immediately or right away. Hanggang sa kaya nilang lulusot sila eh. Sa laki ng archipelago natin, at kung yung mga drugs ay nanggagaling sa ibang country, they can still find a way to how to ship the drugs to our country. Kasi either yung kanilang customer ay dito or yung iba naman ay transshipment tayo na ginagawa papunta sa ibang countries. But the enforcement group, the intelligence community will continue to do their job until we are able to not only get them but put an impression upon these drugs indicates that it is a lot harder to use the Philippines or ship the drugs into our country.
Secretary Kuya, sa policy-making body ho nitong anti-drug campaign ng Duterte administration, anong rekomendasyon ninyo para hindi na po makapasok itong bulto-bultong shabu sa bansa?
Una-una, yung illegal drugs is a transnational crime yan eh. And just like other transnational crime, it doesn't follow boundaries, yung national boundaries. And just like any other commodities, parang yan eh, yung sa free trade natin, madaling i-transport yung mga yan eh. Pati na rin yung technology natin sa mga online, ang mga ganyan, sumasama yan sa other merchandise and commodities na going around the different countries. And yung mga apprehension na yan, mga discovery na ganyan, mga interception ng mga drugs na yan, dalawa yan eh. It's either mas maraming droga ngayon or mas maraming nahuhuli. So, it doesn't follow na maraming nare-report na confiscation or apprehension na mas malala, no? Kung minsan pag kukunti yung reported apprehension or arrest, either na walang nagre-report or walang nahuhuli. So, at present, because of the public awareness dahil doon sa mga pronouncement ng government, ng ating mga government official, the public are more aware now on the presence of telltale signs of laboratories, shabu laboratories. That's why, per report of our law enforcement agencies, most or almost all of the substances confiscated or discovered are already finished products. Because for the syndicate, for the groups, it is much harder now to maintain laboratories kasi aware na yung mga tao eh, and they can easily they are now conscious of their role as a community.
Apo. So ano po ang inyong rekomendasyon, sir?
Well, anyway, we have two main pillars sa ating strategy. Yun nga, yung supply reduction and demand reduction. But there are other four supplementary pillars, yung rehabilitation and reintegration pillar. We have the public awareness and response. Ito yung what we're doing now. We have the alternative development to provide alternative livelihood to those individuals. And the international and regional cooperation. Ito yung importante also. Ito yung malaking tulong para sa law enforcement natin eh. Yung coordination nila doon sa counterparts nila. Many of the interception at the ports are results of this coordination with the foreign counterparts. So ito yung we continuously implement this, actually 6 pillars yun, but we are considering the supply and the demand reduction pillars as our 2 main pillars. Yung other 4 will just be support to the 2 pillars.
Okay. Makakaasa ho ba ang taong bayan na hindi na mauulit yung pagpasok ulit ng ganong karaming shabu sa ating bansa?
Well, we hope. Yun nga, it's under investigation pa naman eh. So,
last Secretary, sabi ng Pangulo, imposible kahit na matapos ang kanyang termino, imposibleng matapos yung problema ng droga. Sinusuportahan niyo po ba yung claim na yon ng Presidente?
Yes. Actually, sa Dangerous Drugs Board, sa PDEA, pareho kami ng mission to have a drug-free Philippines by 2022 in time doon sa term ni Presidente. Well, it may not be possible or it may be difficult, but that is our target anyway. And what we're doing with the cooperation of all sector, whole of nation approach, who knows, baka makuha natin yan. So lang yan, is a, we are confident.
Hindi shot in the dark yan, Secretary?
Hindi. Meron tayong ma-attain.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Henry. Last 3 questions, Hannah, Pia, and Christine. And Joseph. Sige, last 4 questions. Hannah.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, si Cebu City Mayor Tommy Osmeña, sabi po niya, law enforcement alone cannot solve yung drug problem sa Pilipinas. At sinasabi din po niya na very poor po daw yung government when it comes to rehabilitation. Kumusta na po yung efforts na ginagawa natin to rehabilitate po yung mga surrenderies po natin at yung mga pabalik-balik na po sa paggamit ng droga po?
Well, unang-una, ang papel ginagampanan ng Department of Health ay yung doon na sa treatment, care, and support. Kasama po rito ang rehabilitation. So, there's what we call a continuous capacity building. And as I have enumerated a while ago, we have now 53 licensed drug abuse treatment and rehabilitation centers, 15 existing DOH TRCs with a implementing bed capacity of close to about 6,000. And also, there are 11 ongoing constructions of additional DOH treatment and rehabilitation centers. In fact, kasama ko si Presidente 2 weeks ago, we inaugurated and formally opened the Malay-Balay Bukidnon Drug and Treatment Rehabilitation Center, which according to some external assessment bodies seem to be one of the, if not the best TRC in the region. It's very nice. It's very, very complete. And this was donated by a Chinese philanthropist. So the capacity building is very important because as you improve on detection, deterrence, and then prosecution, etc. So yung mga taong nahuhuli, kailangan continuously are provided the opportunity to be evaluated the best possible way so that the corresponding treatment package is made available depending on the severity of their conditions, no, as victims of drug addiction. So yun po ang ginagawa natin, and I think credit must go to President Duterte with respect to the enhancement and substantial increase in the number of treatment and rehabilitation centers. There's never been something like this ever before. So I think it's to the credit of the President that his approach has been very balanced and well coordinated in terms of the execution of his anti-drug abuse program. But the DOH, together with the DSWD as pillars, as members, or as the ones implementing rehabilitation and reintegration efforts, no, and programs, no. So this is a continuing effort of the Duterte administration.
Sa class na po, how do we gauge yung success po ng rehab program ng pamahalaan? Pag nagpumasok siya sa rehab center, lumabas siya, bumalik sa society, yung hindi siya nakabalik ulit sa drug addiction, is that how we gauge? Or numbers po ba yung pinagbabasehan natin na successful po yung rehab program natin?
Well, that's a very good metric. That's a very good question, but the metric that we can use offhand is, for example, in 2016, a total of inpatient admissions, 2,975, 2017, 2,634, 2018, 2,852, for a total of 8,461. Now, listen to this. The number of graduate residents, yung mga natapos ang rehabilitation program, in 2016, 3,592, 2017, 3,453, 2018, 1,327, for a total of 8,412. So maganda yung turnover, maganda yung rate ng nakakatapos completion ng rehabilitation program. But of course, side by side with our inpatient care, another important intervention is the aftercare until they're reintegrated into the society, and where the DSWD has a significant role in making sure that the reintegration efforts are successful, coupled with the relevant programs, no, of the DSWD. So I think there are many metrics that we can use as a reflection of the success of the government's broad front approach to addressing the scourge of illegal drugs. But I'll tell you this, if you're going to look at the DOH, what it has done, many more TRCs, many more bed capacities. So, well, is this good? Of course it's good. But while we are improving and enhancing our capacities, remember the other pillars are also at play. And so the prosecution, the advocacies, and so all these efforts must be intertwined and hopefully achieve the outcome that is a drug-free Philippines by 2022, under whose leadership the President has shown strong political will to pursue. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary.
Can I
Luke.
add?
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe one measure that we can say that the rehabilitation or of drug dependent is successful is when they return to the community and they return to their family, and the family is very supportive of the drug dependent, because sometimes within the family they keep silent. They don't want people to know that they have a child that is under the influence of drug. And in every families, I think in every 10 families in the Philippines, I think 1% is under have one child under the influence of drugs. So we can only say that a drug addict or a dependent on drug is very successful is when we return to the community, he will be back to his main role as before. Ibig sabihin po niyan, nakabalik siya sa trabaho, pwede. Nakabalik siya sa pag-aaral, pwede. At nakabalik din siya sa kanyang pamilya, kung siya man ay pamilyadong tao. Although hindi po lahat ng nagiging successful na na-rehabilitate natin ay bumabalik talaga sa normal na buhay. Because ang sabi nga natin, with DOH, na hindi lahat ng, lalo pas kung severe yung kanyang condition, makabalik man po siya sa normal na buhay, matulungan man po natin siya, medyo may, medyo may pagkukulang na doon sa kanyang pagkilos bilang normal na individual sa society. So, because in social work or in the Department of Social Welfare, yung mga na-rehabilitate po natin dyan, marami din po dyan pag bumalik na po, even the young people, pag bumalik na po, hindi na po sila ganun kaayos, especially sa pag-iisip. So, I really wanted to appeal to everybody in every community and in every barangay. Sana ma-identify natin at matulungan natin, magkaroon na tayo ng preventive action agad, even before these people will be dragged into drugs. So, yun po yung hingi natin. At tulungan na rin na po natin ang presidente natin because we're not putting all the blame in our president na lahat nagkaroon tayo ng ganito kalaking problema. But what our President Duterte is doing is trying to solve and help every Filipino people na maging maligtas tayo sa anumang especially when it comes to and related to illegal drugs. So I hope this opportunity na binigay niyo sa amin, we will all help each other. At magtulungan na lang po tayo at tulungan din natin yung ating presidente dahil hindi niya rin po kaya. He is so frustrated because pag nakita niya po yung isang pamilya talagang down, and because of the family, nagkakaroon pa yun ng repercussion sa buong pamilya. When one of your member, you try it in your family, magkasakit nga lang ng ordinary na sakit, di ba? Nagkakaroon na ng imbalances sa family, within the family. So, one important talaga na ating titingnan ay yung families natin. So, I think yung DSWD is also bent on helping each family. Kaya pinakita namin kanina sa inyo, two-pronged approach yan. While we try to rehabilitate yung nasa when they go back to their communities, we also try to help their family, yung mga pamilya, kapatid, asawa, kamag-anak, girlfriend, boyfriend, ganyan. Tinutulungan din po natin sila. One is acceptance.
Thank you,
Second,
Secretary Orogo.
Okay, thank you.
May I cut you? We still have 3 more questions. One question and one follow-up. May coverage pa po kasi. Pia. Sorry, ma'am.
Kay Secretary Kuy po. Presidential spokesman Harry Roque earlier said that the administration has yet to make a dent as far as stopping international drug syndicates from importing drugs in the Philippines. Do you agree with this statement, sir, that we have to make a dent on that aspect?
Ano yan eh, medyo tricky yung situation na yan. As we said kanina, drug trafficking is an international or transnational crime to. The Philippines is either the market or transshipment area. So as we said, it's really a challenge for law enforcement agencies to put a total stop dito sa happenings na to because of number one, yung geography natin. We have a very long coastline, and admittedly, our law enforcement agencies and even the military cannot secure all this coastline, napakahaba niyan. And kung hindi nila maipasok through the normal airports and seaports, they will resort to the unguarded coastline. That's why part of the airports law enforcement sa PNP, for example, they are everywhere. They are in all municipalities anyway, to include yung mga coastal watch to get the support from the barangay official do sa mga coastal town kasi they are ito yung mga force multiplier natin. It may be true na na mahirapan tayo kasi yung very well funded and organized ang mga drug syndicates na to. And yung mga drug syndicate, they are the same person involved in illegal trafficking, human trafficking, illegal firearms, money laundering. The same people yan, the same people involved in crimes. So talaga yan, it's a challenge really. We admit that it's a challenge.
Sir, the latest shipment of drugs came from China and Taiwan. Kamusta po yung coordination natin with their governments?
Actually, according to PDEA, result yun ng coordination nila sa counterparts nila.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Please.
Actually, positive developments ito eh. Before kasi, dito nila niluluto yung shabu kasi the materials are available. All they have to do is bring in the chemist. Napaghuhuli na natin lahat yung mga chemist eh. Tsaka na-raid na natin yung mga shabu laboratory. And then these suppliers, they found out, mas mura pala kung doon lulutuin sa China with their own chemist. At ang problema nila, paano na lang ipapasok dito sa Pilipinas. And now we are starting to intercept this shipment. But siyempre, talagang tuloy-tuloy dapat. And then of course, malaking tulong din sana kung meron din sanang yung hinihingi nating maipasang batas yung death penalty para sa mga drug pushers and drug syndicate. Kasi tayo na lang yata yung natitirang bansa na wala tayong death penalty sa drugs. Sa Malaysia, pumunta ka 7 grams lang, death na kagad yun eh. So, takot talaga yung mga tao doon. So, dapat ganyan eh. Dapat matakot yung mga tao dito magbenta ng drugs.
So, ibig sabihin, sir, yung efforts natin sa war on drugs, hindi pa siya hindi pa siya deterrent or hindi pa natatakot yung mga tao. Kailangan pa.
Kulang pa eh. Drug lord ka. Makukulong ka lang. Magagawa mo pa yung operation mo sa loob ng kulungan. Bakit ka matatakot, di ba? And then later on, kung mababayar mo pa at makakalabas ka. So kailangan, pag doon pa lang pagkahuli, pag-try mo, death penalty ka agad. At least kahit sa drugs lang.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Christine, last two questions. Christine and Joseph.
Secretary Anyo, just on the 6.8 billion, what's the real story behind that, sir? Because the president said last night he was not convinced that there were drugs that there.
I am not privy to the details. And there is an ongoing investigation by the House. So, no comment na lang.
Sir, who's doing the investigation?
Well, I think NBI is already tapped to do the investigation. There are allegations that nakalusot itong shabu sa BOC, but it appears naman na wala talagang concrete ebidensya pang nakikita. So tuloy pa rin yung investigation dyan. So maybe let us allow the investigation to finish before we can make any comment or assessment. Thank you.
The initial report that there were traces, hindi pa yun, sir.
Well, sabi naman doon sa report ng BOC, wala raw traces doon na nakita. So, hindi natin alam, pwedeng nalinisan kagad o pwedeng wala talaga. So, kailangan pa talaga ng investigation.
Thank you, Christine. Last question, Joseph Morong.
Secretary Anyo, bangka ka. Sir, medyo off tangent lang yung yung topic. The president last night mentioned of a joint command conference between the AFP and the PNP. I'm sure you were there, no?
Yeah.
That was the time that he mentioned he talked about the military junta. What do you think of that fact that the president is floating the idea first of a military junta?
Well, una-una, doon sa command conference, inilalabas lang niya yung kanyang nasa loob. It's about what you say, thinking aloud, no? At hindi naman ibig sabihin no na he's encouraging the military to put up a junta, no? Hindi naman. Yun mga litany ni President to emphasize something, like for example, the corruption, the drugs, para emphasize lang niya talaga na ito yung gusto niyang matapos sa term niya. Now the Department of Defense and the DILG, we were all there, and our job is really to how to transform his guidance into actions so we can accomplish his objectives. So, yun lang naman yung nakikita namin doon. Ini-emphasize siya talaga yung gaano kalaki yung problema. And of course, kami, yung enforcement and the AP, isa lang ibig sabihin noon, we have to do more, we have to, kumbaga marami pa kami dapat gawin. But there is no existing condition that would say a need for a coup or a junta or a military takeover. Walang ganyang sitwasyon. Even in the armed forces, in the PNP, everyone is happy. Lalo na nadoble yung sweldo nila. And everything is provided by the President. Kahit hindi mo pa hinihingi para sa performance ng work mo, binigay niya healthcare and equipment as well as incentive. So, talagang there's no alibi for us to fail in our mission.
He said that he told the military and police officials that he's thinking of stepping down. When the president mentions this to military officials and police officials, how are you taking those kinds of statements?
Yeah, may mga premise naman 'yon. Sinasabi niya na mabigat itong problema natin sa drugs at corruption. Hindi ko yata makakaya to. Kung hindi ko to makaya, mag-step down na lang ako. Kung hindi ko to makaya, yun ang sinabi niya. Pero with all the resources and with all the support, kayang-kaya naman natin to eh. Sabi nga, hindi nga lang overnight, but you count all the accomplishments since day one of his assumption until now. You can see even based on the survey, on the trust rating, it's all positive. No? So, para sa akin, yung sinabi niya is not really his intention of going down, but just to emphasize the magnitude of the work that has to be done.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
Sekretary Anyo, isa na lang talaga. Pahabol kay Ms. Rose Novenario. Mike, please.
Hi, Secretary. Good afternoon. Sir, ano po yung hakbang nung DILG dun sa report ng COA tungkol po dun sa 27 ghost barangays po ng Manila na allegedly ay binigyan ng real property tax shares ni Mayor Estrada?
Well, magkakandak tayo ng investigation dyan sa mga report na yan. Alam niyo naman yung ating emphasis sa administration na to, corruption. No? So, wala tayong sasantuin dito. We just need the information, the data, and they will conduct the investigation. For your information, we launched the Bantay Corruption and Bantay Kaagapay or Bantay Corruption. And we have about 250 local chief executives that are being investigated now, just based from the complaints sa 888 at sa mga information na nakuha namin from the field. Dito wala tayong sasantuin dito. Sabi nga ng Presidente, isa lang ang gusto niya ma-achieve sa administration na to. Mawala yung corruption at saka yung drugs. So gagawin natin yan.
Thank you.
Maraming salamat, Secretary Anyo. Pahabol lang, mabilis kay Asik Waluping.
To our friends, I think I'll give one more statement from Secretary Duque to emphasize lang the launch of the DOH helpline, because I think in social media we've seen that, and I think that's the question amongst our kababayans. What to do when you have a friend or a relative or a loved one who has fallen prey to illegal drugs? What to do? Where can they ask help? Who to contact? DOH has launched something, and Secretary Duque will emphasize that point.
Yeah, I think it's in one of the slides. It's the Helpline 155. No? Ito ay napakamahalaga na tumanggap ng mga impormasyon patungkol po sa mga taong na biktima ng illegal na droga, at dito po ang DOH ay makakatugon kaagaran sa mga impormasyon na makakalap mula sa helpline na ito. No? So, bahagi po ito ng ating kampanya, yung talikuran ang droga. Sa pagbabago mo, may handang tumulong sa iyo. So kindly disseminate this, our friends from media, so that we'll have a successful helpline and as a conduit to getting and providing ultimately the help assistance that families with members who have become drug addicts. Thank you.
Maraming salamat, MPC, sa ating mga naging guest, Secretary Orogo, Secretary Anyo, Secretary Cuy, at Secretary Dupay, Assistant Secretary Mon Coloping.
Thank you.
Back to Radyo Pilipinas.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Pwede ba tayo mag-selfie dito? Tayo lahat. Sir, pwede ba tayo mag-selfie tayo with...
Magtiwal bagong buhay na sa'yo'y naghihintay. Makikita sa'yo para sa susunod na henerasyon. Kailangan ngayon rehabinasyon at giginhawa na ang disposisyon sa ating panahon. Rehabinasyon sa ngayon, dahil may rehabinasyon. Rehabinasyon. Bawat kagawaran ng pamahalaan ay nagtulong-tulong nang ika'y mayakap ng bayan. Bawat Pilipino, ikaw man o ako, tulong-tulong tungo sa pagbabago. At magtiwala ka, lang sa salita, may bagong buhay na sa'yo'y naghihintay. At ang pagbabago'y makikita sa'yo. Para sa susunod na henerasyon, kailangan ngayon rehabinasyon. At giginhawa na ang disposisyon sa ating panahon. Rehabinasyon, may pag-asa ngayon. Dahil may rehabinasyon.
Rehabilitating the nation together.